Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, EQ Nostalgia here, and it's time once again to talk Resident Evil. The film franchise is going to be getting a reboot, which I don't honestly know how to feel about that. I mean, I think this is a good thing, but I can't be too certain. I'm going to explain myself in a moment, but I'm pretty positive most of you already know what I'm talking about. But first things first, let's talk about who's going to be heading up this project. James Wan is going to be directing the film, and Greg Russo is going to be writing the script. I'm going to assume that most of you have no idea who these people are, so I'm going to go ahead and elaborate what it is they've done in the past. James Wan actually has a pretty respective film history here. He worked on Saw, and he actually created Billy the Puppet, that crazy twisted puppet from the franchise, which, I mean, everybody, as soon as you think of Saw, you think of the puppet, right? So he's done some pretty cool stuff. He's worked on Dead Silence, which is a film that I actually liked. Some people didn't like it. I thought that was a good one. I like the twist in that. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. Death Sentence, I don't think I've seen that one. He did Insidious, which I thought was pretty cool. He did The Conjuring, which I also thought was pretty cool, despite my personal opinion on the Warrens being complete and total charlatans. And he also directed Furious 7. Now, Greg Russo, on the other hand, is somewhat less impressive resume. He's only worked on Robotech and Mortal Kombat that I can tell. Now, some of you should immediately be going, oh, wait a minute, because Mortal Kombat ties him to Anderson. It ties him to Paul W.S. Anderson, the guy who was responsible for the former film series, which was not very well received by a lot of fans. And you know, that includes myself. I did enjoy the first and second film to some extent, but for the most part, I did not like them. Now, I know that's going to lead to downvotes because people want to come here and get their opinions validated. If they don't, they get butthurt and they downvote. It doesn't really matter to me. I didn't like those films. I could just go on and on about why I really didn't like them, but the best thing for me to impart upon you, if you don't know anything about the original films, besides explosions and titties, is that it started off as a play on Alice in Wonderland. At that point, I found that out. That's when I knew, okay, this is doomed from the start, because the very foundation of it was a farce. It was supposed to be Alice, and you had the Red Queen, and I know some of you are rolling your eyes because I've told this story a million times, but you know, you had the White Rabbit, the guy who was in a hurry to get down and get everything done. They started doing that, and then they scrapped it. So they kind of had it there still, but it wasn't really there, but it kind of was. They were going down the rabbit hole into the hive and blah, 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 blah. What they should have been focused on, in my opinion, and what I want to see from Resident Evil going forward, is a return to roots. I want to see horror. I don't want to see explosions. I don't want to see crazy action scenes. That kind of thing is evidently really popular in China, and the film franchise has grossed about $1.2 billion. That's nothing to sneeze at, and there's a reason why they're making these films. Now, myself and a lot of people, I'm sure, have sat there and thought to themselves, why do they keep cranking these out when the fans clearly can't stand them? Well, people are still watching them. It doesn't matter if they're watching them here. China's got a big box office of their own. It's a sad fact that this is the most successful video game film franchise of all time. There's nothing that's going to change that. No matter how much I don't really like it, no matter how much you guys don't like it, you wish it would have been something else, it was really successful. So are they going to alter that formula? It seems like they're going to, or they wouldn't be cutting Paul W.S. Anderson out of it. They wouldn't be getting a new director. They wouldn't be bringing this new writer in. And yeah, I mean, what's the point of a reboot if you're just going to do the same shit, right? Now, yeah, they could just reboot the story and keep it as action-oriented as it has been over the years, but I don't think they're going to be doing that. Not with the director that they have on board in his previous films. So I find myself increasingly optimistic that this is at least going to be horror-oriented again. It's not going to be all about action and explosions. It might not be exactly what I want. We might not be going back to the Arklay Mountains. That's what I would love to see. I want to see this film start off with a victim, some sort of hiker in the forest, gets attacked. That's what I want to see. I want to see complete and total return to roots. I want to see the mansion, way more focus on the mansion. The first film should be all about the Arklay Mountains and the mansion. I'm going pretty much fanboy here in terms of the original Resident Evil. That's what I wanted to see from the film. When I heard that they were going to be bringing out a Resident Evil film, and this is right around the time Resident Evil 2 came out, I'm pretty sure they had a competition for someone to be in that film. I do believe I spoke about it on the channel. That guy did win and was actually in the film, I believe. So I've been hyped for this for years. I've been fanboying. Oh my god, I can't wait to see Jill. I can't wait to see Chris. I can't wait to see the mansion. I can't wait to see Tyrant. And then when it came out, so many years of what I thought the film would be. It was something completely different, which really isn't fair, if we're being honest. I do have a bias here, but I want it to be close to that source material, which is perfectly fair in my opinion. And then you've got Paul W.S. Anderson saying, oh, I understand the games, I've played them, and Mila's doing the same shit. You just want to slap them, and because it's just an insult. It's like, listen, motherfuckers, I've been playing this game since 96. I've been waiting for the film to come out since Resident Evil 2. What was that, 97? I mean, and then it came out, and it was just this complete and total, his own vision of what he thought it should be, because the fans didn't want to see the film the way that the games were, because they already played the games. That is such a load of bullshit. I know I'm not alone in that, but yeah, the films were successful, so fuck me, right? They made $1.2 billion, and here I sit struggling to pay my rent. What the hell do I know? I'm a gamer, I'm a consumer. I know what I want from Resident Evil. I also know what China wants from Resident Evil. I don't want what China wants. And, you know, I'm not trying to slam China. I'm not trying to say that their tastes aren't as good as mine, but I want something with a little bit more substance. I don't want a bunch of people hopping around like fucking ninjas, and it's just, no. I didn't even watch the last film, to be honest with you guys, because I have no interest. The last one I watched had Claire in it, and I don't remember who the actress is. She was really hot, and I mean, that's about all they do. They bring in these hot chicks. It's like, oh man, Jill is so hot, and this girl, what was her name? Sienna Gullerai? I can't remember. She's smoking hot, and that's all you're really thinking the whole time is, wow, so hot. And oh, explosions and action and zombies getting their heads chopped off, and you know, oh, there's a bunch of Alice's that failed, and they're all in a pit. And I mean, that's when it just started to get so fucking stupid, man. But I know I'm just, this is like an incoherent rant. I'm not even making any sense. There's no structure to it, but this is just raw emotion and how I feel about the films and what I want to see from the films going forward. For anybody who might be new to the channel, I promise you I don't just incoherently rant like this all the time. Usually my stuff is structured, but this is just, you know, a Resident Evil fan talking to you guys about Resident Evil. Resident Evil 7 gives me hope that that's what they're trying to do with the films as well. They're going to take it more towards a scary direction. Resident Evil 7 had some really good stuff. If you are familiar with classic horror films, American horror films, you're going to notice that there's tons of it all over the place. I go into detail on it in my in-depth review. I'll have that at the end for you guys to check out if you haven't seen it. I talk about all of the film influences in that, but obviously Texas Chainsaw is all over Resident Evil 7, and I felt that it worked really well. That just decayed kind of look that they went for, it works really well. It created a fantastic atmosphere, and I think going forward something like that would be great. I don't want to see it ripping off other films. I don't think that Resident Evil 7 ripped off other films. Well, the dinner scene was kind of a blatant ripoff, right? They kind of were like, hey, this is what we're doing, and I've pointed that out. But, you know, homages are okay. It's okay to say, hey, take a look at, you know, we recognize that this is something that's like pop culture, horror stuff. We'll put it into the game and make it our own thing. I have always appreciated that about Resident Evil. From the beginning, folks. With Resident Evil 1, I immediately thought, oh, dude, this is just like being in a George Romero game. It's like Night of the Living Dead, and you've got all these creatures that want to get into the house. It's not a farmhouse, but it's this big mansion, which is even cooler, right? It did everything that Night of the Living Dead was doing, and it just did it so much better. And it really did bring back zombies. Zombies, if you're not old enough to remember, they went through a very stagnant period. I'm talking about mostly the 80s, early 90s. They weren't in the media much. They just weren't out there. They weren't in the forefront, you know, media. They weren't out there in Hollywood. They weren't getting represented as much as they are now. Now you've got Walking Dead, and you know, if you don't know, you just assume, oh, zombies have always been big. No, for a while there, they went through kind of a hiatus, and it sucked for zombie fans. It sucked really bad. That's why when I see people who are like, oh, I'm so tired of the zombie thing, it's like, shut up. You don't even know, just shut up. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it's probably not going to last forever. I swear, I should just abandon what I'm doing here and start making stupid parody videos, the thoughts I have in my head.
The year is 1989, the height of the Great Zombie Depression.
I mean, people, it's funny to laugh at it now, but thinking back on it, it did suck, man. I mean, the only thing we had, I think 1991, Tom Savini came out with a remake for Night of the Living Dead, and it was fantastic. I must have watched that film like 20 times in like a year, the first year it was out. Anyways, I digress. I'm going down like nostalgia memory lane here. Get back to Resident Evil. When Resident Evil came out, guys, it really did It gave me something to just sink my teeth into. Yes, pun intended. I was like a rabid zombie, just hungry for flesh. So when they came out, that game came out, I played the shit out of it. When the sequel came out, I had it immediately. I played the shit out of it. And when I found out a film was coming, it was amazing. And it did. It revolutionized zombies. It brought back zombies once again. And it kind of changed the way that zombies are. This more modern influx of zombie films that we're seeing in zombie culture, it was far more political back in the day. There was like a political agenda there for everything that George did. He was trying to show how society was and this and that. And then people were just like, fuck all that noise. Let's just get a bunch of cannibal eating people and undead people and make a bunch of blood and guts and shit and forget all the other stuff. So that's how it's kind of gone. I'm not saying that they need to bring the politics back to zombies. I honestly could give two shits about that. I just want to see the film go the right way. Bring it to the roots, the core of Resident Evil. But I don't know if they're going to do that. They're probably going to base it somewhat loosely off of what's been happening with 7 lately. They might be filling in between those games, but there's going to be 6 of these films. So they're going to be going on for quite a long time. It took about a decade for the last 6 to run their course. About 15 years, actually. Holy crap, that's really depressing. Speaking of time, that's about it for this video, guys. Sorry to end it on a down note, make everybody feel old right at the end there. Oh, it's been 15 years. How you guys feeling right about now? But yeah, it's been that long. It's been a long time. So I'm ready for this, man. I'm ready for the reboot. I'm going to be covering it here on the channel. If this is your first time coming through, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be talking Resident Evil here for a long time. And something tells me this summer things are going to ramp up significantly. Now, my subs who have already been subscribed for Resident Evil stuff, I know things have kind of been not so good lately, but truth be told, not a lot has been happening. I do expect that to change come E3, so I'm pretty hyped for it. Hang in there, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to rate it thumbs up. I thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video. Oh, and if you got nothing else to do, I made these other Resident Evil videos like forever ago, and you might like them. They're pretty cool.